The coach house apartment, the Bothy, Long Lane, Little Shagthorne. Dear Irene, I was going through some drawers in the coach house yesterday and came across my old and dog-eared list of new millennium resolutions. My first instinct on reading "must be more tolerant of Irene, she means well even though she is very trying," was to tear it into little tiny pieces. But I found myself reading on, and by the time I came to "I will embrace my fellow man with love and friendship," I was bathed in tears. I sat on the bed and howled. My veterinarian son-in-law, Singen, said later he thought it was a poodle he'd just castrated. It brought back all the events of his and my daughter Karen's wedding day again. I haven't forgotten that I was left locked in the bathroom, while everyone else, including you, went off to Shagthorne Abbey without noticing. Or that trying to climb out of the window, I impaled myself on the hook from which hangs the lavatory brush and was shredded down to my undies. I will never forget the look on the bishop's face as the bride's mother staggered into the abbey, ripped and bleeding. Nor Karen's rage. As she said, or rather spat at me during the reception, "You'll do anything to draw attention to yourself, won't you, mother?" It was insult added to injury when you accused me of being jealous of our happiness, especially since it was you who vacated the bathroom as I entered. Somebody turned the key in the lock, albeit absent-mindedly. However, the list made me think very hard about all the intentions I'd had of rising to the millennial challenge, and it is in the spirit of that I offer you the chance to make amends. You'd better get a move on, as I'm departing these shores for a trip to India. It was while I was searching for my sarong that I found my resolutions. Yours, in love and friendship, Vera.
42 The Limes, Heather Green. Dear Vera, so glad you've reminded yourself of your New Year resolutions finally, albeit not until the summer months. In my experience, for most people, that's all they are, good intentions made while giddily intoxicated and kissing strangers, which are left to wither on the vine ere January is but a few days old. I have managed to remain faithful to my resolutions thus far this year, and I intend to continue in that vein, so I'm not going to be tempted by you into silly arguments about what did or did not happen at Karen's wedding. Suffice it to say that I am clear in my own mind that I played no part whatsoever in the sorry tale of your arriving in the Abbey in the middle of your only daughter's marriage ceremony, with your skirt up around your ears and mouthing irreligious profanities. I'm so glad to hear you've finally come out of your depression, though. Your daughter Karen has been in despair about you, and has often been on the telephone to me night and day since the wedding. I don't mind telling you that you had a close brush with homelessness around Easter, until I managed to calm her down and remind her that, though irritating beyond belief sometimes, you are nevertheless a very genuine person, and her mother. I'm very pleased that you've obviously decided to take up your son-in-law Singen's offer of a nice long holiday. I really do think that he and Karen need some quality time together alone, and that they both need to bond with your grandchildren, Sabrina and Nelson, in a way which is impossible with you around, given that you are so competitive for their affections. I'm surprised you settled on India, however, given what you're like about toilet facilities. Don't let it get you constipated like it did during our trip together in the Dormobile, especially not if you're going for several months, as you've apparently promised Karen. I'm enclosing this jumbo box of senna as a going-away gift, and suggest you pack it near the top so you can start taking it straight away before your phobias have a chance to take hold. Have fun, old friend, and try to come back the richer for absorbing some of that wonderful Eastern philosophy. Perhaps you might even learn some meditation out there, which I believe can be so helpful for people of an angry, impulsive nature. I shall look forward to hearing all about your adventures in your cheery missives. With warmth and compassion, Irene.
Dear Irene, I shall ignore your ridiculous aspersions about kissing strangers, owing to shortness of time, but I must remind you, since obviously your brain is now a colander, that the bathroom incident was the culmination of words about the catering. Not only did you criticise my use of sheep's yoghurt in the blue cheese quiche, but you objected to the wilted dandelion in the salad and my own unique recipe for exotic lamb sausage. You said, if I remember correctly, fortunately my brain is not a colander. Where was I? Oh, yes. You said that the sausage skin reminded you of an unpleasant object you hadn't seen for many a year. My poor son Howard was so hurt. You've no idea how many sheep he had to wrestle to get that length of intestine. He and his partner Anthony were exhausted, despite the help of Singen and his gaffer tape. Such a pity, as I was going to suggest we do a cookery book together, called, I thought, Two Fat Sausages. Thank you for the senna pods, but they are the last thing I shall need in India. I'm assured curry works on a level similar to colonic irrigation. I am not, by the way, going for several months, whatever Karen has told you, but on a 3-week guided tour with an exciting new enterprise called Gaga. They specialise in adventures for the elderly, and had we been speaking, I would have asked you to come too. Though on second thoughts, you'd probably be happier with a quiet saunter in Bognor. Singen, who is the most thoughtful and generous of son-in-laws, offered me a holiday months ago, but I haven't had a moment. What with the renovations at the Bothy, Karen has spent a fortune on so-called architects, and what's left of the house is held up by scaffolding. Helping out Howard and Anthony at the sheep farm and looking after Sabrina and little Nelson. I do wonder what Karen is thinking of, getting herself pregnant again so quickly. She's already blown up like a barrage balloon, which can't be wise in the first year of a marriage. Sabrina, poor little thing, has sobbed herself to sleep every night for a week at the thought of being separated from her granny. I told her I'd be back in time to see her new little brother or sister born, but that just made her cry louder. All till I'm in touch with foreign parts, Vera.
Dear Vera, I know you're just about to leave these shores, but I really must clear up some of your misapprehensives before you go. 1. Blue cheese quiche is made with blue cheese. If it were otherwise, it would be named otherwise. Personally, I would anticipate very little demand for an item named sheep's yoghurt quiche, let's say. 2. The dandelion leaves in question were not wilted, they were deceased. 3. You said the sausage skin reminded you of an unpleasant such and such. I merely added that I wouldn't know, as I had not personally seen one. Ever. Clive and I preferred to keep some mystery in our marriage. 4. If you are considering writing a book called Two Fat Sausages, I suggest you find another more suitably sized writing partner. I personally have never been anything but a size 12. With sincere best wishes for a very pleasant holiday, Irene.
Darjeeling, Tuesday. Dear Singen and Karen, sorry to be brief in this wire, but tour bus impounded by police after nasty incident. Pig on the road. Animal, I mean, not driver. Rescued by charming Indian taxi driver who drove me the rest of the way. 675 miles. Now completely out of rupees. Staying with taxi driver. Wire money to State Bank of India, Darjeeling. Love, V/Mother. Darjeeling, Wednesday. Dear Sabrina, hope you like the postcard of the mosque. Granny's only seen it from the outside, too. Women aren't allowed in. Missing you terribly, but have been adopted by several cats, dogs and goats. Oh, and a pig. We're all staying with a helpful taxi driver and his large family. The weather is freezing. Just as well as with all of us in one room, it's very cosy. Have bought you a sari and lots of jewels. Bet you can't wait to have me back. All my love, Granny. Darjeeling, Thursday. Dear Irene, thought you'd enjoy this ethereal vista of the Himalayas. So different from the flatness of heather green. I went up to 8,000 feet yesterday, hanging onto a cable car. Actually, I was hanging onto it from below, having slipped out as I leant over to take a photo. Marvellous view of the tea estate. No trouble with the other down below. Food wonderful. Sheep's yoghurt in everything, and other parts of its anatomy. Now thinking of travel cookbook. Vera's Voyages. On my own, naturally. Vera. Glengooley's Tea Room, Darjeeling, Friday. Dear Howard, you would love it here. It's very oldie-worldy English, just like the books I used to read to you when you were little. There are lots of falling-down colonial houses and falling-down colonial people. Gin is very cheap. I've met a lovely couple of boys, Raj and Shiva, who remind me so much of you and Anthony. They are a great giggle. They're tourist guides, and tonight they're taking me to the Planters Club for its speciality. You guessed it, gin fizzes. Love and kisses to you both, Mumsy.
The Coach House Apartment, the Bothy, Long Lane, Little Shagthorne. Dear Vera, surprise, here I am, tucked up in your bed at Karen and St. John's beautiful home, early on a lovely English summer's morn, with your little granddaughter Sabrina nestled at my side while we write to Granny Small. Sabrina is such a dear, isn't she? And so affectionate. Anyway, in case you're wondering why I'm here, Karen rang me just after you'd left, asking if I could spare time to help look after Sabrina while you are away, as she is so heavily pregnant. Karen, that is not your granddaughter. Naturally, I was only too delighted to help out, and will remain here as long as I'm needed. So don't even think of being obliged to me. It is entirely my pleasure that your family feels so comfortable with me that they can ask for my help. I went over to dinner to your son Howard's and his partner Anthony's last night. Gosh, it was fun, and the food was superb. Not a drop of sheep's yoghurt anywhere, and so beautifully presented. They really are lovely, and they seem so happy together. They're almost like a married couple, aren't they? I hope you managed to get this, care of the State Bank of India, Darjeeling. Don't you have a post-restaurant address over there? It would be so nice to be able to keep you informed of your family news on a more regular basis. Or we could even email each other. Singen has been showing me around the World Wide Web on his computer, and it really is a marvel. He's given me my own email address while I'm here, Irene at littleshag.com. Singen says that there are internet cafes all over the world now, so if you can find one in Darjeeling, have a go, Joe. All for now, as it really is time we got up. Warmest wishes, Irene.
Chum's Hotel, The Ridge, Darjeeling. Email Vera's Voyages at tandoori.com. Dear Singen, thank you so much for the money transfer, which arrived in the nick of time. I was about to take to the street with my begging bowl like so many of the other residents of Darjeeling. They are a picturesque lot in their rags, though I wouldn't go so far as to have anything amputated. I can also pay my bill at the Planters Club, where I apparently ordered 32 gin fizzes. You really are a dear, and the best son-in-law any mother could wish for. How is Karen, by the way? I hope the pregnancy is progressing well, and she has got over that deafening heaving and retching and returned to her normal colour. Incidentally, I've had a very odd letter from Irene. I know she is staying with you, but she also seems to have borrowed my identity. If I don't return soon, she'll have taken to wearing my clothes and calling herself Vera. I hope you're impressed with my email skills. My dear new friends, the boys Raj and Shiva, introduced me to the Jasmine Cybernet Cafe. They said it was high time I joined the World Wide Web, and besides, I'd be able to keep in touch with them. All my love to you and the children. And Karen, of course. Vera. Vera's Voyages at tandoori.com. Dear Irene. Recipe number 1. Sagaloo with pineapple. 2 pounds aloo, 1 pound sag, 1 pineapple, 2 cardamom, 1 teaspoon garam masala, 1 teaspoon coriander, 1/2 kilogram sheep's yoghurt. Stew aloo in ghee until soft, add sag, cubed pineapple and spices and stir vigorously. After 2 or 3 mins, add yoghurt and serve with fresh chapati. Please pass on to Howard and Anthony. Your first cyber pal, Vera.
Irene at littleshag.com. Dear Vera, well, here I am on my inaudible trip on the World Wide Web, and I have to say it seems very like common or garden typing to me. Did I ever mention that's what I did before I was married? Actually, I wasn't a typist in a pool. I was personal secretary to Mr. Blundell, the managing director of Fairweather Feet, a very well-respected firm that made quality Wellington boots and galoshes. Singen has just suggested that I do some office work for him now he's discovered my latent talent. Such a shame that you didn't learn an office skill when you were young. Otherwise you could help him out and pay off some of the debt you apparently now owe him. What was it you used to do? Wasn't it factory work of some kind, or were you a shop girl? I half remember some rambling tale you once told me when you were in your cups about your mother telling you you'd be one of Woolworths if you didn't apply yourself harder at school. Speaking of school, I went with Sabrina to her Bring a Granny event at Shagthorne Junior yesterday, since you weren't here. It's a new innovation to bring history alive for the little dears, hearing it at first hand. Sabrina was so happy I could go with her, and was so proud of my storytelling skills. I told them all about rationing and Woolton pie, and afterwards the catering staff begged me for the recipe. Happily also, Mrs. Patel was there from the Filcham Magna Corner store, so I asked her if she knew what sag and aloo were. Honestly, if you mean potatoes and spinach, I don't know why you don't just come out and say it. Sabrina said it sounded horrible. She's such a caution. Nevertheless, as soon as it was home time, we trundled over to her Uncle Howard's to give him the recipe, since you made such a song and dance about it, and he cooked it straight away, substituting Cox's orange pippins for the pineapple, since naturally here in the Derby Dales we do not have access to exotica except in tins, and you know what Howard is like about fresh produce. All of us thought it was highly overrated. Sabrina actually said it was pukey, and demonstrated her feelings in the back of the MG Midget when Howard was kind enough to drive us home. She's going to sleep with Granny Irene tonight to make her feel better. Nearly forgot. You had a visitor the other evening. Edward Blunt says you met at the parish OAP Beetle Drive last winter and was inviting you to another this weekend. I told him you were away, so he insisted on taking me instead. You are a dark horse. He's quite attractive in a rough and ready rural sort of way, isn't he? We'll tell you all about it in my next. Fond regards, Irene.
The Coach House, Long Lane, Little Shagthorne. My dear Irene, I'm so sorry to have missed you. I was expecting a warm reunion. Indeed, the hot water bottle in my bed was still warm. But Karen told me you had taken off like a bat out of hell on hearing some news from home. I do hope it's nothing serious. I couldn't help wondering what on earth you were doing at Little Shagthorne when your own daughter Leslie is pregnant and your own grandchild Cheryl Marie must be feeling very neglected. Of course, Singen filled me in about your rift with Leslie after she'd refused to have you over to Oz, and how you suddenly descended here out of the blue. They said you were distraught and how sorry they felt for you. Unfortunately, those sympathies don't last if one outstays one's welcome. It looks as though I've arrived home in the nick of time. Karen's about to burst at the seams, which reminds me of India, and Sabrina's complaining you smelled funny. ditto. Out of the mouths of babes. I'm sure she's only referring to your tea rose cologne, which I've always thought a little vinegary. She's such a little performer. She's parading around with a turban on her head and has set up a stall on the Bothy building site marketing the jewellery I brought her. She's already sold a hod full of plastic bangles to one of the bricklayers. She's saving up for a mountain bike. Everything else is forgotten. Must stop now. I've got an avalanche of mail to answer. Drat it, Edward Blunt's coming up the drive. I hope he isn't expecting a warm reunion. Namaste. Ask Mrs. Patel for a translation. Vera.
42 The Limes, Heather Green. My dear Karen and Singen. I'm sending this note, hand-delivered by Mr. Blunt, as he has kindly offered to pick up my other suitcase from you and drive it back over to me at the Limes. Sorry to leave in such haste as to make myself so forgetful, but as you know, my neighbour Beryl made it all sound so dramatic that I simply had to leave immediately and come and see for myself. I have to tell you, thus far I've drawn a complete blank, so I'm none the wiser. Certainly no strange man seems to be watching the house now, and I've been peeping out from behind the curtains ever since I arrived back yesterday afternoon. And there's no sign of a forced entry, and nothing seems to be missing, except, of course, the mysterious disappearance of the contents of my dustbin, as reported by Beryl to me when she phoned me at your lovely home. Naturally, I've put the Heather Green West neighbourhood watch on full alert, but I can only imagine that it was just children having a lark. Which doesn't explain the mystery man staking out the house, of course, but then Beryl is prone to fervid over-imagining sometimes. She used to be a leading light in the Heather Green Amateur Dramatic Society, or HAMS, as it is known to aficionados, and I think she misses the drama. Hope Vera arrived back safely. Give her my love, and tell her we'll catch up on all our news soon. Fondest love, Irene, XXXXX.
The coach house, the Bothy, Little Shagthorn, dear Irene. A quick note which I'll pop in with the suitcase and bag Edward is bringing. I found sundry articles of yours dotted all over. How long have you been using the truss? So have collected them all into this gorgeous handcrafted Rajasthani bag. Do feel free to keep it. I've got lots more. I'm so glad Edward's removing his suitcase, which I fell over several times. Whatever possessed you to bring such a big one? You must have thought you were moving in. Now, at last, I can unpack all my treasures. I'm going to completely redo the coach house Indian style, and have brought back lots of hangings in shades of saffron, tangerine and magenta, the colours worn by the Buddhist monks I encountered. Photo enclosed. That's the chief lama holding the football. I passed your note on to Karen and Singen once I realised it was for them. Edward had given it straight to me. He's well-meaning enough, but a simple soul. I do hope he isn't delivering your stuff in his poultry van. Last time he gave me a lift in that, I came out smelling like an Indian loo and covered in chicken feathers, so, of course, I couldn't help reading it. It sounds as though Beryl isn't the only one who misses drama. Why on earth would a mystery man be lurking about your house and riffling the contents of your dustbin? That sort of thing only happens to film stars and television presenters. You haven't won the lottery and not told us. Anyway, I do hope, whatever the problem with Leslie, you've made it up now. I'll write properly and send you more pictures of my adventures as soon as I'm settled. What a good thing Singen installed the computer. Must log on and email all my new pals on the subcontinent. All the best, V.
The Bothy, dearest Irene. Thanks for your letter, which Mother eventually gave me. I'm glad you're okay, and of course you're welcome here any time. Though where we'd put you I don't know, what with the Bothy still being a building site, and needing a nursery for the new baby, and a suite for the nanny I'm insisting Singen hires. Mother's got boxes and trunks everywhere. She's turning the coach house into a Bedouin tent. There's carpets and cushions and yak-skin rugs. Singen says we'll have to rename it the Shag Palace. Even Howard said the colours made him feel bilious, though that could have been the curry she insisted on feeding him. She's trying out all her new recipes. If she sends you the one for mutton masala, don't touch it. Love, Karen.
42 The Limes, Heather Green. Dear Vera, have just received your nasty letter in the post. I don't know what you think you stand to gain from fabricating lies about a rift between myself and my daughter Leslie. We are, in fact, the best of friends, and as close as a mother and daughter can be when one lives in England and the other lives in Australia. In fact, we are both currently looking into our finances to see if we can afford for me to fly out again to Melbourne to be with her during her confinement. As for outstaying my welcome with your daughter Karen and her husband Singen, all I can say is, ha! You should have heard what they were saying about your eminent return before you go throwing stones in glass houses. Your ears would have spontaneously combusted. Edward has also delivered your note to me this morning, which I read out to him, so now he knows what you say about him and his poultry van behind his back. He says you can forget free cocks from him from now on, and can go out and buy them yourself. The truss, incidentally, was his. It's a long story, and not one I would want to go into with such an antipathetic correspondent such as yourself, but suffice it to say that we thoroughly enjoyed ourselves at the Beetle Drive, and got on like a house on fire, as in fact I seem to do with all your friends and family. Must go, there's a policeman at my door. You may think my dustbin being plundered is a joke, but I am happy to say that here in Heather Green it is sufficiently out of the ordinary to arouse the interest of the CID. Kind regards, Irene. P.S. Almost forgot. Welcome home.